Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the background campaign for Hero Realms. It's been busy on the channel. Christmas in Arkham is officially underway now, and we're up 1-0 against Shub-Niggurath coming out of Eldritch Horror on Sunday. Last week we debuted Terra Mystica on the channel along with Night Gaming, and so far it seems like this is going to work. One thing I look for when I decide what day to feature a game on is editing time. The length of a game is certainly something to consider for sure, but it can be somewhat deceptive. One quote that stuck with me, and I don't remember where I heard it, is you spend twice as much time in post-production as you do in actually shooting the video. I look for games that generally don't feature a lot of camera cuts, so I don't need to spend a lot of time editing. I'm still going to experiment with games to feature on weeknights. Other than the obvious games on either side, there are plenty of games that I need to classify. Anyway, that rambling aside, we're back into the background campaign for Hero Realms. Last time we stepped into this campaign after the fall campaign, we got rocked by the Lich. So now we're going to step into the first scenario of the Lost Village campaign, Red Eyes. But first things first, we need to set the scene. So the story so far. A few months ago, you were enjoying a drink at the Inn at Four Rivers when a magically induced bar fight broke out. During the brawl, you saw a group of cloaked figures carry off a young man. After fighting your way outside, you chased, caught, and interrogated some of the villains. You learned that the group had splintered off from the Necros and were calling themselves the Ruinos sect. Upon reaching their underground ceremonial chamber, you defeated the Ruinos, slew the greater demon they had summoned, and rescued the young man they had kidnapped. He turned out to be the son of Rathiel, Lord Governor of Thandar. You now stand in Rathiel's office, where the Lord Governor has given you and each of your companions a title, Defender of Thandar, and a new mission. Go to Heart's End. Go and find out what happened there. Perhaps this Ruinos sect is again up to some malevolence. You ask what has happened to the people of Heart's End. That's just the problem, the Lord Governor says. The entire village is missing. 2 weeks ago, a trio of tithe priests vanished on their rounds. They were last seen on the road to Heart's End. At the request of the high priest, I sent a small troop of soldiers to investigate. Only their captain returned. The Lord Governor gestures to a guardsman who opens a side door. A man who you assume to be the captain is helped into the room and gently lowered into a chair. He looks freshly bathed and his clothes are clean, but his gaze wanders and you sense his mind is far from the room. The Lord Governor kneels next to the captain's chair. He clasps the man's hand and speaks softly. These are friends, Goran. Tell them what you told me. Tell them about Heart's End. Goran's head lolls for a moment, and you fear the captain is about to pass out. Then he opens his mouth. His voice is trembling, and you struggle to make out his words. Gone. All gone. Do you mean the villagers are dead, you ask in a soft, calm voice, trying not to upset him further. Not dead. No. Bodies. Goran frowns as if remembering something. Then his face pales. He stands suddenly, knocking the Lord Governor back, and his terrified eyes dart around the room. Red Eyes, he shouts. Red Eyes! Red Eyes! Hold him, Rathiel commands, and 2 guardsmen restrain the captain. After a short struggle, Goran's eyes roll back and you realize the poor man has lost consciousness. After the guardsmen carry the captain from the room, the Lord Governor addresses you. You now have the same knowledge I do. Please go to Heart's End and bring me answers. Chapter 1. An Empty Village. You arrive at Heart's End 2 days later. It's past dark and an approaching fog threatens to obscure your vision. There are no signs of life other than the animal sounds of the surrounding forest. As you make your way through the village, a feeling of dread falls upon you and your companions. Where are all the people? If there had been a battle or some tragedy had occurred, you would expect signs of struggle. And yet, there is nothing. The road splits and you must decide which way to go. To the left, you see a row of houses. To the right, a half-dozen shops line the cobblestones. If you investigate the houses, go to Chapter 2. If you investigate the shops, go to Chapter 3. Let's take a look at the row of houses first. The Maddened Boar. Lantern light spills through the windows of the first home. Its door hangs broken and dangling from one hinge, as if someone had smashed their way out. Peering through the doorway, you see what might have been a family dinner. Plates of half-eaten meat, cheese, and fruit sit on a dining table. 2 chairs have been knocked over, and more dishes lie in pieces on the floor, their contents strewn about. Members of your party debate whether the food is edible, but the discussion is cut short when a snorting noise comes from deeper within the house. Then something large comes barreling toward you. You dive out of the way as a monster crashes into the center of your party. It's a huge boar with massive tusks and eyes glowing with red with dark power. The beast growls and grunts as it scrapes a hoof across the cobblestones. It swings its head from one of you to another, deciding where to aim its fury. Ready your weapons. You must fight the maddened boar. Go to chapter 4. Alright, so we've done setup. We're fighting the maddened boar, so we'll bring its card. We'll put it in the master area in a second. Be sure the master's card is level 1 side face up, yada yada yada. Deck setup has been done last night. As a normal campaign encounters, the player to the left of the master area always goes first. Special rule for the maddened boar. The maddened boar always stays in player areas. It never goes to the master area. So let's go ahead and take a look at our maddened boar. Alright, maddened boar, starting health of 70 on level 1. Attack of 4, costs 4 to lure, which won't be relevant for this campaign because we only have one character that we're using. On a blue ally ability, this moves to the next player area, which once again will never leave mine once it gets there. Stun all player champions there and gets 4 combat. Then green, the player in this area discards a card, giving it 5. On a red, just gains 7 combat. And on yellow, this moves to the next player area, and he heals for 6. That's going to be annoying. But anyway, that's our boss setup. Now let's go move over to the board so we can look at starting hand and the starting market. Just to refresh our memory on our current campaign skills, we've got regular channel, which we can expend and spend 2 combat, or 2 gold, lose a health and draw a card. For deep channel, we can expend that and spend 2 gold to lose a health, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, draw 1 and put the other one back. And then we've got Fire Blast, which we can use to deal 4 damage to target master or minion. And as far as our starting hand is concerned, we'll adjust the camera up just a little bit. Okay, looking at our starting hand, I see we've got quite a bit of gold. And the next action we acquire this turn costs 1 less. Fire gems are, of course, always available. They're 2 gold. You can scrap them for 3 combat. First up in the market, we have Taxation as an action for 1 gold. We can use this to get 2 gold, and on an ally ability with the yellow faction, we heal 6. Ally ability being that you have to play another one to get that effect. But anyway, next up, Rampage for 6 combat. For 6 gold, you get 6 combat, you may drop to 6 cards, then discard that many cards. Influence for 2 gold. It's basically a fire gem that gives you 1 extra trade, or 1 extra gold. Death Cultist as a champion for 2 gold, and you can expend it to get 2 combat. And Elven Gift for 2 gold. You may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. And on an ally ability with a wild, you get 4 combat. Anyway, right, so Alright, I think that will do it for initial setup. So now I think we're ready to get into this playthrough. And let's start off with my turn first. Alright, so laying out our hand, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and our first action that we acquire costs 1 less. And then we've got flavor text on here. What do you need that for? Okay, so I think for 1, I will grab the... I think for one, I'm actually going to grab the Elven Gift first. And then replacing it in the market will be Krithos Master Vampire for 7 gold. 3 combat, and when you expend it, you may sacrifice a card in your hand or discard pile. If you do, gain an additional 3. Then I've got... So that's done. I've got 5 gold left. I think I'll grab a Death Cultist for 2, which means I'll have 3 left, and then replacing that. Close ranks for 3. 5 combat plus 2 for each champion you have in play. Ally ability with the yellow faction gives you 6 health. Let's see, so I've spent 2 more health, which means I've got 3 left. I will go ahead and grab an influence for 2. And then we'll have 2 left after that. Actually, we did that. 2, we'll have 1 left, actually. Which I'll probably end up using to grab taxation, but I do want to open up my options if I can here. Life Drain for 6. 8 combat, and you may sacrifice a card in your hand or discard pile. Ally ability with red faction to draw a card. So 1 will grab me the taxation, and then my trade has all been spent. Or my gold, I should say. But anyway, replacing that. A Death Touch for 1. 2 combat, you may sacrifice a card in your hand or discard pile. Ally ability gives you 2. So these all move to the discard pile. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Taking a look at my starting hand. Okay, looks like we'll get some good stuff coming here. But anyway, that will do it for my first turn. Moving up to the boss. The first card is Berserk as an action. Deal 3 damage to each player. Now, if it was level 2, it would instead do the effect down here. So I take 3 damage, which brings me down to 47 right off the bat. And then the yellow ability on here is he moves to the next player area, so the Madden Boar actually moves to my play area right away. And he gains 6 health. Right, so that's not a good start. Although it does make my life a little bit easier because it means I can basically keep the camera tipped down and just keep doing everything in my play area. But anyway, that will do it for round 1. That was not a welcome round 1 at all. But anyway, that will do it. So let's get into round 2 and see if we can't start pinging this guy down, this Madden Boar down a little bit. Okay, so I'll play an Arcane Wand to draw a card. For the rest of my turn, whenever I play an action, I gain 1 combat. So from that, I will draw a Fire Staff for 1, which gives me 1 combat. If I have 2 or more actions in play, draw a card. And I don't think I will, because I'll have a Cat Feline, a Cat Familiar, 2 gold, and an Ignite, which will give me 2 for a total of 3 combat. So 3, 4. I'll expend the Cat Familiar for another combat to go up to... let's expend it for gold, actually, to give me 3 gold. So I will hit the boss for a total of 4, bringing the boar down to 72. Then for 3 gold, or for 3 trade, I'll go ahead and grab the Death Touch for 1. Then I'll replace it with Miros Guildmage for 5 trade, or for 5 gold. It's a champion with a guard of 3. I'll expend him to gain 3 gold. And on an ally ability with the blue faction, heal 4 and get 4 combat from that. Alright, so the Cat Familiar prepares. All of this moves to the discard pile. And I'll draw that, shuffle the rest of this up. I'm going to need to work on putting a wall up here pretty soon. 2, 3, 4. Take a quick look at the hand. Somewhat interesting hand, but anyway. That'll do it for my turn. The next card up for the Madden Boar is a Mastery, which their preferred is... What is their favored? Their favored looks to be straight red. So that'll give them 7 combat. And that actually takes only 1 mastery for the boss to level up. So he gets the 7 combat first, and then he flips over into level 2, costing 8 to lure, which doesn't again matter. Let's see, mostly I think combat. Holy criminy! So most of the combat bonuses are leveled up. So 8 combat there versus 4. 10 and the player discards 2 cards. That's a problem. 14 combat on red. Yikes. And heals 12 health? You've got to be kidding me. Alright, so the Cat Familiar bites it. And then I take 5. Yeah, this isn't going to last too long from the looks of it. But anyway... So, leveling up definitely did not take long at all. Assuming I did that, I gotta double check that. I'm pretty sure, though, that as soon as they have enough masteries, they just level up, and they only needed 1. Number 2 on page 13. Equal to or greater than the number of diamond symbols. Yep. Okay, so now it flips. Yeah, this is gonna be a problem. I have a feeling the next time... Wait a minute. Oh no, it needs 3. Never mind. Derp. Okay, so that's a relief. Yeah, it would help if I actually read the icons on the bottom, not the level number there. So it needs 3 to level up. Okay. Whew. Crisis averted, but anyway. Yeah, so the boss is never leaving our area, which is going to be a bit of a problem, but anyway. That will do it for round 2. So now let's get into round 3 and see what we can do about trying to get over that initial 6 health burst. Leveling up at 1 health would have been way broken, but thankfully we don't have that to worry about. So anyway, we'll start off by playing the Arcane Wand, and we'll find... another gold. So the Arcane Wand gives us a combat every time we play an action. So 3, 6, 7 combat, and 4 gold. So the 7 combat will aim at the boss, bringing the boar down to 65. And then with 4 gold to buy with, I'm actually going to grab the close ranks for 3, and then if this is a 1, I'll be able to buy it. If not, the 1 gold is going to float away. It's a Street Thug for 3 gold, so the 1's going to float away. I can expend it to either get 1 gold or 2 combat. And then flavor text on the Ignite, every Inferno starts with a spark. So I'll move these over to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, looks like we're going to be making, hopefully, something resembling headway, but anyway, let's see what the boss decides it wants to do this round. Summoning a Clever Fox. Oh, joy. So, with a red ability, so... Clever, this can't be attacked by target or targeted by players in other areas. So champion will expend for 3 combat. I'll put that over to the side. And the icon in the upper left was red, so expend for 3 plus 7 from the ally ability here is 10, which I will get hit in the face with. Yowza. This still might not take long, even though it's not going to be easy to flip. So the Clever Fox prepares. We're into round 4 now, and I'm just getting hammered, but let's see if we can try to fix this mess. Right, so we'll start off with an Elven Gift for 2 combat. I will draw a card, but I'll have to discard after this. I'll have to discard, so I will draw. Spell components. So the next action I acquire costs 1 less to acquire. I'm going to discard a gold. That will give me 2 gold. 3, and the next action I acquire costs me 1 less. Death Cultist, an influence, and another gold. So I have a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the first action I acquire costs me 1 less. The question is, though, am I buying an action this turn? That life drain is very tempting, but I think first I need to buy. I think I'll actually buy Krythos, which will take up my gold. If this is a 1-cost action, I'll probably snap it up as well. I will find a Spark. Well, this is a 1-cost action. 3 combat, target opponent discards a card. Ally with the wild, get an extra 2 combat, which I will snap that up. And then replacing it will be Intimidation for 2 gold, blue faction ability. 5 combat, and on an ally you get 2 gold. I will have to sacrifice the influence to give me 3 combat, which I'll use to take out the Clever Fox. Then I'll expend the Death Cultist for 2 and hit the boar with it. And then that will cover my turn. The champion will prepare. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll shuffle this up. Five, and here we will find okay, not too much interesting stuff, but anyway. All right, looking up at the Master's deck, we find Aurora. Each player discards a card with an ally ability of yellow, so the boss will actually gain 6. But we'll get no combat. But we won't get hit at all. So I'll discard a gold, which is unfortunate, but it can't be helped. Anyway, that will do it for round, I think this is 4 now. So round 5, let's see if we can kind of try to turn the corner here. Or start to. We're probably not doing much damage with a 1-turn reprieve, but we'll see what we can do. So I'll start off with a Death Touch for 2. I can sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. The gold I just had to discard will get sacrificed. I will play out a Silver Skull Amulet as well. We've got 3 gold from the Silver Skull Amulet plus the 1 gold. And then a Fire Staff. If I have 2 or more actions in play, draw a card. I don't. Death Cultist flavor text, they live for death. So we'll expend him for another 2 and hit the boss for 6 to bring him back down to 63. And then for 3 gold, I think we'll just grab the Street Thug because I could always use more champions. And then replacing that will be a Word of Power for 6 gold. Draw 2 cards. Ally ability lets you heal 5 health. Sacrifice it to get 5 combat. Then we'll move all that to the discard pile. My Death Cultist will prepare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, look at that Exacxes. And starting to get some pretty good stuff coming up here. But anyway, getting a little ahead of myself there as the boss finds. Infected Slash. If no player is infected, you're infected and keep this card in your inventory for the rest of the adventure. If you're defeated while other players remain, immediately go to Chapter 7. Deal 4 damage to the infected player unless they or an infected or a player nearby them reveals a wild card in their hand. Unfortunately, and the ally ability is green, so player in this area discards a card. I will discard a gold, and I don't have a wild card to reveal, so I will take another 4 damage, bringing me down to 28. Then the Master will get 5, which will defeat the Death Cultist and deal me 2 more, bringing me down to 26. Yikes, this boar is just knocking me down hard. But anyway, that will do it for the Maddened Boar. I think this is the next round now, and we'll see if we can deal with this mess. Alright, so I'll start off with an Arcane Wand, which lets me draw a card. For the rest of the turn, whenever I play an action, I gain a combat. So I will draw another gold, which is rather unfortunate. But then I'll start playing out a couple champions. I've got my Cat Familiar and Krythos, along with 2 gold. I will make the Cat Familiar will let me heal health, bringing me up to 27. Then for 2 gold, I will grab an Intimidation, actually. And then replacing that, we rake Master Assassin for 7 gold. I can expend it for 4 combat, and I may stun target champion with a strength of 7, but not guard strength. Then I will expend Krythos for 3 combat, and I can sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. I've got a generic gold that I can sacrifice for another 3 combat, which I will hit the boss for 6 with to bring him down to 57. Trying to do first grade math here is apparently hard, but anyway. Champions prepare. I'll draw back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a quick look at the hand. We've definitely got some good stuff coming here, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. Let's see what the boss finds. We find a mastery on a red, so that'll give him another 7 combat. Right, so he needs 1 more to level up now. I will have him take out the Cat Familiar, and I'll take 5, which will bring me down to 22. Or 22. Yeah, apparently I can't do math here, but anyway. Yeah, this is not going well at all. So, but now it's our turn, so let's see what we can do here. Just had a little bit of a derp moment. The boss actually starts with the highest guard champion it can stun. So it took out Krythos first, and I only took 1 from that. But anyway. Okay, so we'll start off with an Elven Gift for 2 gold. I can draw a card if I do discard a card, and I can probably discard that. So I will draw. Close ranks, which gives me 5 combat plus another 2 for each champion in play. Ooh, that's actually going to be very welcome right now. So I'll discard an Ignite in hand. Then I'll play a Spark, which gives me 3 combat. Target opponent discards a card. Now, discarding works a little bit differently in a solo campaign, where you get to look at the top card, and if it's you get to look at the top card, and you may either keep it there or discard it. And I got to double check one more thing. Yes, and chooses to either keep it or on top or put it on the bottom. Okay, so I'll get to look at keep it on top or discard it. So, looking at the top card, Berserk, dealing 3 damage to each player. That's actually not terrible right now. Although that is a blue, which would stun my Cat Familiar. But we will be into the 3rd section of the deck now. What else do I have in hand right now? I think I'll leave it there, actually. Yeah. I'll just leave it there because the Cat Familiar probably would have the blue. Yeah, it's not going to matter anyway, but this will though. So I'll go ahead and play out the Taxation, which will give me 2 more gold for a total of 4. Then I'll play Spell Components for 5, and the next action I acquire costs me 1 less. And Close Ranks to give me 5 combat, plus another 2 for each champion I have in play. And both ally abilities on Taxation, I'll bring it in shot here. Both ally abilities on Taxation and Close Ranks trigger, which will heal me for a much needed 12, bringing me up to 39 health. Ooh, did I need that? Let's see, 2, 4, 5. And I'll expend that for another health to bring me up to 40. Alright, and then I've got 2, 4, 5 health, and the next action the first action I acquire, which will also be the only one I acquire most likely, costs 1 less to acquire. I've got some really good options available to me. So I think I will just grab... let's just grab Word of Power for 5. And then replacing that... will be Deception for 5 combat, or for 5 gold. Get 2 and draw a card, and then an ally ability, put the next card you acquire this turn into your hand. And we never hit the boss for combat, so 4, 7, 9, and another 7 is 16. We needed that to bring the boss down to 41. And that will be my turn. Cat Familiar prepares. We'll draw that, and then we'll shuffle the rest of this up. Three, 4, 5. We'll take a look at the hand for the turn. Some good stuff. Hopefully enough that we can work with, but anyway. And then we know what we left on top. Deal 3 damage to each player, and because of the blue, we stun all champions in the area, which will actually hit me for a total of 7 to bring me back down to 33. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now we're into the start of a new round, and hopefully, well, we're not completely out of it yet. This is very much going to be a war of attrition, I can tell. Hopefully we're not going to have attrition come and bite us when the boss flips over, but anyway, let's get into our next turn. Alright, so we'll start off with spell components. 1 trade, 1 gold, and the next action I acquire this turn costs 1 gold less. Then I've got another 2 for 3, 4. Fire Staff, if I have 2 or more actions and play, draw a card, and an Ignite to give me a total of 3 combat. I think I will sacrifice the Silver Skull Amulet to draw a card. I will draw. Arcane Wand to draw a card. For the rest of the turn, when I play an action, I gain 1 combat, so I'll get to draw another card. I will find an Intimidation for 5 more combat, ally ability for 2 gold. I do have 2 or more. No, I don't have 2 more actions in play, but I will when I play Intimidation. So I'll get to draw a card from Fire Staff. So I will draw another gold. Okay, so that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 8, 9 because of the Arcane Wand, which I'll hit the boss with to bring him down, to bring the board down to 32. Let's see, I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first action I acquire costs me 1 less. I think I gotta grab the life drain for 5 at this point. And then replacing that in the market will be a dark reward for 5 gold. When I play it, I get 3. I may sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. Ally ability gives me 6. I may be looking to that pretty quickly, but anyway, getting a little ahead of myself there. Draw back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we've got some very good stuff coming here, but anyway, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. The boss finds the third mastery on a yellow. Okay, that's a problem. So he gets the ability first, which means he'll heal for 6. And then he'll flip over. So I thought he would flipped earlier, but he does now. Which means the combat bonuses get a lot bigger. So, actually everything gets a lot bigger now, but anyway. So the masteries go into the discard pile. And they now are basically like normal cards. So now this is going to turn into a race. We have, I would say, probably 3 turns at the most to kill him. But anyway, let's see what we can do with that. Seeing as we're going to need all the combat we can find and then some, I'll start off with an Elven Gift, and I will draw a card, and if I do, discard one. So I will draw a Death Cultist, which is very helpful right now, and I'll discard the spare gold that I've got. Let's see. Then I will play out the aforementioned Death Cultist. Then actually we're going to have a bunch of champions here. I'll play out a Death Touch as well, which will trigger the ally ability on the... which the Death Cultist will trigger its allied ability. I'll sacrifice another gold. Then I'll go ahead and play out Krythos, which would trigger this again, but except it doesn't trigger a second time, and then I'll play Street Thug. So I'll expend all my champions for combat, and then Krythos, I'll sacrifice a gold to give me 3 more combat. So right now I have a total of 2, 8, 10, 14, which I will hit the boss with, to bring the boss down to 24. 24. And then what am I doing for 2 gold? I think I'm just buying a fire gem with the plan of scrapping it later. But anyway. Champions prepare. I will draw back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a look at the hand. That is going to be very needed, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. Let's see what the boss finds. He finds a blue card. Whoa. Okay, that is very bad. Alright, so deal 4 damage to the infected player unless they reveal a wild card in my hand. This time I do have a wild card in hand. I have a spark in hand, so I don't take the 4 damage from that, but all my champions get wiped out and another 8 combat. That is a big problem. Right, so I get hit for 8, which brings me down to 25. That was a very bad time for for a blue card to come up. But anyway, hopefully we can clean up this mess. We're definitely going to be gaining a lot of health, which we will need desperately, but I'm getting ahead of myself there, so we're into a new round now, and yeah, that just turned into a mess. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into my next turn. Alright, so I will start off with Word of Power, which will let me draw 2 cards, which will shuffle my deck. We could use starting to rebuild some of the posse here, but anyway. Card 1 we find. An Elven Gift, which is also going to be welcome. And spell components, which will probably end up being, well, let me look at the hand, but that might end up being discard fodder, potentially. Probably. Anyway, I'll go ahead and play out the Elven Gift. So I'll draw a card if I do discard a card. Then I will draw. Arcane Wand to let me draw a card. For the rest of the turn, whenever I play an action, I gain 1. And I will discard the spell component, because I'm probably not going to need those this turn. Then I'll go ahead and play the Arcane Wand to draw a card. So I will draw. Wow, Life Drain. That's actually not very welcome right now, but anyway. 8 combat, I may sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. That might actually end up being somewhat welcome, but anyway, we'll see about that. I will go ahead and start off with we'll go ahead and continue a Spark, so that triggers the ally ability here, so I'll discard a card. I will find, let's see, Creeper Vines as a hazard. Class abilities and class skill cards are turned off. Their preferred card right now is Stunning Champions. At the end of your turn, if you didn't spend combat this turn, clear this hazard. I think I'm actually going to dump that, because I'm probably going to need my class cards to get out of this mess. Actually, I think the rest of my hand is pretty much all actions at this point, so we'll see if we can we might actually be able to get there. So I'll go ahead and play out a Taxation, which gives me 2 more gold and my ally abilities on Word of Power and Taxation trigger. I might be able to pull this off, actually, but before I do that, I will go ahead and spend the 2 gold from the Elven Gift into a Deep Channel. So I'll lose 1 to go down to 24. I'll look at the top 2 cards, draw 1 and put 1 back. So first card I get to look at is a Fire Gem for 2 trade. 2 gold, I can scrap it for 3. And a Death Touch, which it's a little early to say, but I might pull this off this turn. So I will take the Death Touch, leave the Fire Gem on top. Then I'll expend the channel for 1 more health to get down to 23. Which will draw me the Fire Gem, so I'm expending from the Taxation. Okay, now we've got a lot of busy stuff going on here. So I'll play out the Fire Gem for 2 more trade. Then I'll play out the Death Touch for 2. I can sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. I'll sacrifice the spell components. Now, close ranks for 5 combat, plus 2 for each champion I have in play, which is 0. Ignite for 2, and Life Drain for 8. I may sacrifice a card in hand or discard pile, but the ally ability lets me draw a card. So I will draw. A Fire Staff for 1 combat, and if I have 2 or more actions in play, I'm pretty sure I have a lot more than 2 actions in play, so I get to draw a card from that. I will draw. Another Ignite. Well then, okay. Let's go ahead and total this up before I figure out if I need to scrap Word of Power. I don't think I do, though. First of all, let me gain all my health. 5, 11, 17 health to bring me back up to 40. Okay. Now we get to total up combat. So ally ability for that is turned on, so I have 4. 5 here is 9. How many actions do I have in play? I have quite a few, I'm sure. Let me grab a d12 for that. So it's any actions I played after I played the Arcane Wand. And actually I need I'm going to grab another set of d10s so I can track how much combat I've got. Because I played a lot of cards this turn. So I start off with 4 from the Elven Gift. And get another 5 from the Spark. The 5 from the Spark can bring me up to 9, and that's 1 action. Taxation is 2 actions. Let's see, Death Touch is 3 and another 4 combat, bringing me up to 13. Okay, Close Ranks is another 5, and I didn't have any champions in play, so that brings me up to 18 combat. Ignite will bring me up to 20 combat. Life Drain brings me up to 28. Fire Staff is 29. And Spark is 31. And I played, after that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that was a total of 8 actions after the Arcane Wand was played, which brings me up to 39 combat. All of which I'm going to throw right at the boss to bring the Maddened Boar down to negative 15. So when I looked bleak there for a second, turns out that I do actually get to that I do pull off the scenario. So I have won this scenario. So with that, we can move back up top to wrap up. We can actually transition into scenario wrap up. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into this. All right, so Chapter 5, An Unexpected Foe. Right, yes, if you win, go to Chapter 5. An Unexpected Foe. The beast roars up one last time, howling in pain and anger, before a final blow knocks it to the ground. As you catch your breath, you stare down at the defeated monster. To your amazement, the beast's skin grows slack as the muscles and bones begin to shift and move. Its skull shrinks and changes, becoming more human. Its hooves separate into fingers and toes. Its tail is pulled up and absorbed into its body. You have some experience with the werewolves of the Wildlands, but something is different about what you now witness. Something sinister. The same dark magic that burned in the beast's eyes now pulsed throughout its body, glowing bright for a few moments, before fading as the transformation ends. The beast is gone. In its place, a man slumbers peacefully as if the recent battle had never taken place. Rewards. The group gains a new card that can be purchased. If you defeated the Maddened Boar, which we did, you can put together a tasty meal from the leftover dinner. So it looks like we can... we can put see page 15 in the Lost Village rulebook. Here we go. 14, 15. Okay, so it's just a new, becomes permanently available for the rest of the Lost Village campaign. So that should be in the Encounter 4 cards, which Lost Village. Wait a minute. Is it in this stack? No. Where is it? Maybe Lost Village Treasures? Well, I'm getting ahead of myself there. Here we go. Alright, so does that add... I should find all 5 copies and place them face up. Okay, so they become... So they're basically just starter cards. They're additional cards that we can get. So we now have the tasty meal available to us. For 2 gold, you get 2 gold from it, and if you scrap it, you heal 4 health. Okay, now that we got that figured out, each player discovers magic armor. Find the Encounter 4 treasure rewards. They have a 4 in their top right corners. Locate the 2 magic armor cards corresponding to each player's class and give them 1 at random. Put the remaining treasure cards back in the box. Page 16. Okay, that looks like durability. As long as your health is greater. Okay. I'll go through that a little bit more when we get into it. But let's see here. Magic mirror. Okay, looks like these are probably the ones I want, right? 4, no, these aren't. 4 in the top right corner. What? Okay, I'm slightly confused here. Okay, that's Encounter 4 stuff. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure this out. It's a little annoying. 6, 5, 5, 5. What? Wait a minute. Find the Encounter 4. So they're supposed to have a 4. Where in the... Okay, I'm going to shut the camera off while I find this. I'll be right back. It took me a while, but I finally found the armor cards. It looks like I sorted them in with the wizard stuff. But anyway, so we're going to roll a d. So these are the 2 treasures that we have to choose from. Odds, evens. I'm going to roll a d6 to determine which one I take. Evens, so I take this. So I take this one. So we have the spellcaster's gloves now. If I have 2 or more actions in play, I can expend this to either gain 2 combat or 2 health. The number here is the durability, so as long as my health is above that number, I can expend it to get the ability, which means, well, right at the end of the scenario there, I would have been able to expend it, but anyway, I will move this back in with the treasures, and we have more story to go through. So we go to Chapter 6. The infection. I did end up infected to the shock of, well, no one. You took some blows in the battle, a bruised arm, a knock on the head, nothing out of the ordinary. But the slash across your chest gives you pause. It emits a reddish glow, and you wonder if it's somehow connected to the beast now turned man. One of your companions, a priest, attempts to heal the puzzling wound. Although his magical energy mends your arm and shrinks the bump on your head, the slash across your chest remains unaffected. You tell him, the priest scowls. You tell him to pay it no mind. You're all here to do a job, so you'd better carry on. You only wish your clothes didn't feel so tight. You're now infected. Keep the infected slash card in your inventory for the rest of the adventure, even if you're defeated during encounters 5 or 6 and need to replay them. Go to Chapter 8. Which is the next encounter, which we will not be doing that. Let me see if the infected is going to cause us any special problems. It doesn't seem like one of those effects that will affect us directly during the adventure. It might be something that happens more during story modes, but yeah, so yeah, it seems, like I said, it seems like it's something that's going to affect us over the course of the campaign. But anyway, so we will be continuing with the next scenario in the campaign, but that won't be in this video. So anyway, that will do it for this visit to the Hero Realms background campaign. On Sunday, we're going to continue Christmas in Arkham with the second leg of the campaign, Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. Next week, we're going to debut a new game on the channel. Now, I normally don't mind slasher horror, but I tend to like my horror more on the cosmic side than slasher. Next week's game will be our first solo-only game on the channel as we play Final Girl. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.